Whew. Okay, guys. I just finished watching episode 22 of Ranking of Kings, and it's a lot to process. My head is still trying to rack everything. This episode was filled with emotions, very emotional episode, and was filled with a lot of implications moving forward for the series. So let's just kind of get into it today. Because boy, do we really have a lot to talk about this time. And I don't want this video to be super long, so let's get right into it. Our episode begins with, it begins right where our last episode left off, with Boss passing on to the afterlife finally. But before he does, he reaches out to Daida, and he shows Daida his memories with Miranjo going forward. And as you would expect, they're not all peaches and gumdrops. They ain't all happy. Because it's revealed that they had a lot of hardships and a lot of hard times when they were traveling together. Miranjo's despair was nothing easy to get rid of. Boss probably spent all his time trying to make her happy. And sometimes it didn't work. There were multiple times when she would just refuse him, or she would even sneak off and try to kill herself. And that just brought pure despair to both of them. And Boss, time and time again, would have to save her. But eventually, she opened up and she warmed up to Boss. And they started to travel the world together, And little by little, she opened herself up to the point where they were basically a married couple, guys, going around the world together. Until one night, Boss reveals to her his former dream, that he wanted to be the world's strongest man. But he enjoys the life he has now with her. But she didn't take it that way. She took it as she is the reason why his dream didn't come true. And she blames herself for it. And in that moment, vows to help him achieve his dream, no matter what. And in the process of doing that, she brings him to the demon that she knew as a child. And it's revealed in this episode that we finally know what their promise was between her and the demon. She promised the demon that she would never ask him to grant a wish. Because it's revealed that every time the demon grants someone's wish, he turns more and more into a monster. And when she meets back up with him in the cave, he is the monster that we know today. So he must have been granting a lot of wishes. But Boss asked to become the strongest man in the world, and then the rest is history. And it's just, man, you could just see the despair on her face having to ask something like that of this demon, who she knew from the very beginning never wanted to grant wishes because he was turning into a monster. And it's just sad, They even made you feel sad for the demon. Just this show, man. This show and how it plays with your emotions is incredible. But let's move on a bit. Let's move on a bit. I wrote it all down. Like I said, guys, I wrote down so much this episode. There was so much to talk about. And then Daida finally finds out why Bocchi is so weak. He finally finds out that the demon stole Boss's kid's power and gave it to him. And he finally understands why his brother is so weak and why he's been just basically bullied his entire life, pushed around, beaten into the dirt, no matter how hard he works. And Daida's enraged by this. He's furious, in tears, furious for his brother. But it's in that moment that he finally regains his body back. Throughout the whole show, he finally gets his body back now. And it's in this moment that the battle with the demon commences. And I loosely call it a battle, because it's not even really a battle, They actually incapacitate him and cut his head off And this is when Despa tries to make his plan a fruition. Because, remember, he's only in the kingdom to get his wish granted by this demon. That is his real mission for being here. His real mission for training Bocchi. His real goal. So as he has the demon's head in his hand, he tries to make a wish to save his brother. But before he can do that, Daida kind of cuts in, like, very, very rudely. Like, a really kind of a dick move. And wishes for Miranjo to come back to life. So, as he's doing that, he kind of breaks into the demon's psyche in a way, and he rescues her. And she can't believe it, obviously, because she thought she was beyond saving, all the terrible things she's done. Which is true, to be honest. She's done some pretty heinous shit. But Daida still goes in there, and he rescues her. And as she's leaving, she makes a vow to the demon that she will one day come back to save him. And just a lot of implications moving forward, guys. Like, this episode is filled with stuff like that. But anyway, they bring her back out, and the demon brings out her body, and they put her soul back into it, and she's effectively revived, you know? She's brought back from death. And it's in this moment that Daida actually says he wants to marry her, to everyone's shock, and that he couldn't have done anything without her. Which I never expected, to be honest. And in the process of asking her to do that, she's finally freed. She's finally freed from the torment and the anger that she's done. Now, everyone's happy in this instance, you know? Everyone is relieved that everything is said and done, everything's over. Except the captain and Despa, who quite literally had their only purpose for being there stripped out of their hands and stolen from them. And the captain's enraged for Despa because he wanted to come there to save his brother. That was his goal, was to save his brother. And it was stolen from him. And he tries to attack Miranjo. But Daida in that moment swears to them that no matter how long it takes, that he will help them to save his brother. And man, I didn't know that Despa would probably end up being one of my favorite characters in this show, because in that moment he recalls the conversation he had with his brother when they were in the world between life and death. And he recalls his brother saying, "You don't need to save me right now. Aren't there other people you need to save first?" And it's through that no matter how heartbroken he is, he stands up and he accepts what happens. And he even goes and talks to Miranjo, and he tells her that what you've done is heinous. You've done terrible, awful things. So you should spend the rest of your life showing people how this is not the way anymore. To show them that we don't need anger and hatred anymore. Pass that on to the next generation, so that despair and grief like this doesn't happen again. And that's how you can atone. And those are some big words coming from Despa, of all people. And it was a great scene. It even brought Miranjo to tears. Oh, and before I gloss over some super important part, actually, the demon actually does not die in this. He gets his head back from Despa, attaches it, and he just laughs in his face before disappearing. So he'll definitely come back. He will be a recurring character. Miranjo did say she wanted to save him at the end of the day, which I don't know how you save a demon, but I'm sure we'll figure that out eventually. So they're all there rejoicing in a happy mood, but Despa realizes, oh wait, I have to tell King Desha what happened. And that was his whole reason for doing all this. And he is not happy about it. He is enraged. But, strangely enough, he accepts it. And he just tells Despa that he wants a lot of gold and silver as compensation. Now, on the surface, that might sound okay, like a good thing, but Despa is weary. He's like, why did he accept that so easily? Something's not right. And it's revealed that on his end, he actually accepts the ranking of king title as the strongest king in the world. Because if you remember from way back, the number one king in the world gets to go into the vault. And the last we see of Desha is him getting brought to the vault by the ranking of kings guy that runs it all. And he tells King Desha that in the process of you selfishly trying to save your brother, you gave in to your desires. Now, that to me holds a lot of implications moving forward. Just what is in this vault. Because he tells King Desha that people aren't hurt going into the vault, but they lose themselves when they see something that is above what they can comprehend. And our final scene with Desha is the final candle in his throne room going out. So, is King Desha going to be our villain next season? We'll just have to see. But our episode ended with that, but Queen Hilling actually goes and confronts everyone. She finally catches up to them and has a very teary-eyed reunion with Daida and Bochi. She likes to play tough in this instance, but at this point she finally breaks down and embraces both of them, seeing as how her children have grown so much. And this was a very heartwarming scene and a great way to end our episode. Now, with one episode left of the show, I wonder, what could we do now? Is the next episode gonna just be like a wrap-up episode? It's gotta be, right? And then maybe setting things up for the future. But this episode was a great episode. We really kind of ended everything in this one. We resolved almost everything. But the demon is still out there. So, and what's going to happen to Desha? That I'm extremely curious about. But we'll have to see that next time. But you guys let me know what you thought about this episode down below. Like I said, I thought this was a very heavy episode in terms of implications for the future. We got reveals. We finally got the last of our questions answered for now. Well, besides the vault. That's a whole different topic, though. And you guys just let me know what you thought of this, because going forward in the future, we have a lot that could happen. But that'll be it for today's episode, guys. So I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And until next time, deuces, and have a blessed day.